You will be called upon in the order in which you sign in. When your name is called, please come to the podium. There is a 5-minute limit for each person who desires to speak. There will be no responses or comments from board members with regard to your presentation. 30 minutes has been allowed. Along the exhaustion of 30 minutes, the board can elect to terminate the forum at any time. So if you would, those who desire to speak, you go over and sign in. We'll move forward with the meeting.
We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Instruct Mr. Howard to call the roll. We'll stick to that. Call the roll. I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Moved and second. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, we'll move on to the public comment section. So first I have Mr. Fred Travis.
South Green Elementary is what I'm here for. The public was caught off guard when you all announced that you were changing the name of South Green Elementary to Radio. Dr. Zimma and Dr. are very important. It's a very gracious gift that they have given to the school, and I'm sure it's needed. You all moved from out to Happy Valley School to take your offices. I'm not bothering you, Embarrassed. How'd that wait? I don't say anything. I want you to hear this, Barry. As I said, the gifts of the radius is very gracious, very benevolent, and it's needed by the school. You move from your offices, the new office, you move out to Happy Valley, you spend money on Happy Valley to get it up and running. Now you have students out there that are kind of hard. Now you're going to change offices again, bring them up here to the location that Randy has given you, and you feel like you've got to move again, because Dr. Randy has given you this land. Superintendent Howard, it says it will cost $230 and Happy Valley kitchen. Got that. It's hard for me to think, really hard for me. Dr. Reddy put a stipulation on it that the school had been named after him for you all to take the money. That bothers me a whole lot. I don't think there's anybody in this person. I've got an article here that I read that says Dr. Reddy said he is not seeking public recognition for the donation, and his family has given the property to the district because his daughters got their start at the school and have gone on to be successful. And that's fine. There's been a lot. They are products of Glasgow school systems, so I have always thought highly of it, Reddy said. He has owned the property in your South Green for 20 years. 20 years. Now you've got a house there that's been sitting there 20 years. I'm told it's up in top shape. I can't believe that. And I'm told you're going to have to 20 years a house is, even though supposedly the air conditioning and the heating's been left on it, and it's in top shape. I can't believe that. And I don't think anybody in this world believes that out goes on to say that I'm giving it for the kids, for the students. Then I go down in the same article, and I think that's where Howard, you said take $230, $250 to fix the property and told the teachers at the school. Their lesson who was not at the Wednesday meeting later told the Daily Times that the renaming of the school involved during the negotiation. It seemed like a nice gesture on our part to express gratitude for the benevolence. That's very said. Somebody's not telling the truth. I don't know who it is, but he says in this same article he wants no recognition. But yet come back here, Barrett, and you say that you did it out of benevolence for what he did. That makes sense. Not at all to me or to a lot of other people. That he would change his mind in the same article where you come in and say you named the school after him because of the money he gives. Several teachers ask, what happens to another benefactor who wants to come along and give more money and more property? Whether the board would change the name of the school again and rename the building. No, this name will not change again once it's changed, Pastor said, because it's in the deed. So you locked in everything. Supposedly because you locked it in with the deed. It's hard for me to believe that Reggie, in one place in this paper, says one thing, you all come up and you say another. It don't smell right. A new school, if you're going to name a school after somebody, it should be one that person did. Not someone who comes in 30 years later and decides he wants his name on it because he's going to get his money. I know you've got problems, and I know you've got problems for room. I understand that. But this school's known throughout the state for the awards they won, for the teaching, and for the activities they've done. The parents of this school and the teachers have just bought a new sign. It's through the money. They get the money from you all, is my understanding. They made the money, dogs, candy, and all kinds of things like that. And yet you're willing to name this school after a man who says here he's doing it for the children and doesn't want any recognition of any kind. You've got to really want convenience. And they almost demand convenience because both parents have to work. I don't know what percentage, but I'd say 70% of parents, both parents work. And when both of them work, they've got to have convenience. You're going to take these three schools from out here, run them all the way across town, and that's convenience. No, that's not convenience. Fight you back. I'm old, and I know a lot of young people are not going to pay any attention to me. But I'm telling you what's going to happen. You've got to use a little common sense when you're talking about changing names and changing schools and running one kid here over there. And yet you want the school to come to Glasgow. You're defeating the purpose. I don't know whether you all know it or not, but South Green Elementary was named by students. It was not named by parents, by teachers, or anyone else. It was named by students. And they had a contest, and this one student came up with South Green Elementary. And the teacher asked, he said, we're on South Green, and elementary school is on South Green. But that's just common sense. And he used it when it seems like some of us grown-ups don't have it. Here you go back over to Happy Valley in the school, and you have no kitchen. I don't know what you're going to do. I mean, this is a very dangerous precedent, as you had said, with Glasgow High School, for someone to give you money, a substantial amount want to name something. There are a lot of people in Glasgow that have given more money than this that do not want to be known. They give it because they want to give it, but they will be on known. I just can't place. When he turns up in another place that he didn't. I've got just a couple things here I want to read to you. And these, I've got a squillion of these, plus names and petitions. These are comments. One comment is that why change the name to the gift? If it were a stipulation, then it's not free or it's not a pure gift. Gift to Liberty to South Green Elementary is wonderful, very gracious of the Reddy family. But renaming the school comes at a much greater cost than a gift. Will cost the tradition, pride is already claimed. Perhaps some of the school board members are closer to the situation than people think. And maybe some of the school board members you've influenced him to have his name put on there. You've done an injustice to me. You've done injustice to the school. One article says here, why I am grateful for the Reddy's family donation. I do not think it is appropriate to rename the school. It would be appropriate to name the old Foster House using their name on the new school board building, office building. They didn't donate the school. The school has been our heritage and our history, which should remain in the original name given. There's a lot of ways to honor Reddy. One of them is a plaque. Put it inside the school so that when every student and every parent walks in, who gave the money to expand this campus? Name on the front, no. You're not doing him justice and you're not doing us justice. He's gone through these things before. Put a plaque in there. You might talk to him about it. Because this deal that y'all made can be changed. It's not, if he agrees to change it, and you agree to change it, it can be changed. Now, I don't want to hear stay up and say, well, it's already agreed to and it can't be changed. Thing can be changed between two people if he wants to do it. Another letter here says, there are other more appropriate ways to honor generous giving. Besides, a humble giver does not request recognition. The school has been named South Green for 30 years. Back to heritage, the hard work put into the building and the reputation of the school. The parents have built this school through their hard work, through their generosity, to the teachers. I have one more thing and then I'll sit down. One more thing. Don't forget the school, that the school was named it wasn't given a name or anybody else. That school was named by the students. The students built the South Green Elementary. And I think you do an injustice to change the name. Don't strip away the hard work. And this is the letter that I've been reading to people. It says, don't strip away the hard work, sweat, tears, and pride of South Green Elementary by changing the name only for others' personal recognition. While a gift is appreciated, humbleness should be the reward. Thank you.
3 of our teachers to implement that in some grade levels. RTI strategies, I spoke with Greg just a week or so ago that is something that we always can use different strategies, effective strategies, practical living, art and humanities, again, vertical alignment. There's some plans, I think, for this summer. So a lot of stuff to be covered. There's hardly ever an opportunity to cover it all, but we like to get it on the table in case it becomes available and appropriate for our teachers.
And Hiram was the first soul to volunteer to be a part of the data training at REC.
We'll be doing that in June. That's 3 days.
As Ms. Mode said, we're going to be partnering up with Highland on joint standards, plus looking at math, and just as a whole, just to collaborate between schools. So time to get our teachers together working to help that transition as far as students go back and forth. We're also going to continue with our learning process. Even though we've learned like our stats and things, that's still an ongoing endeavor. This year we're going to look at more student-led initiative and achievement and development. Those at the new level where they become more accountable for PD days we have coming up. We also have a half a day schedule where we were able to purchase our new Read the Street series. As part of that negotiation, that contract for that, we got a half a day professional development for that. So they'll be coming in this summer. They wanted to do it when we first got it, but we chose to wait. That way the teachers could kind of dive into it and figure it. So they actually have questions when they come up to see what's working, what's not working for them. That coming up. And then we use Discovery Education Assessment a lot, and we underutilize, I think, that tool. And so we had some webinars and things, but those are kind of on hold because we have, as a district, looking at some different benchmark assessments that we may go to. So it may flip-flop to some of those things to build that in, and then we'll have ongoing throughout the school year just based on what our plan is. Mr. Hayward?
Yes. Our plan hasn't changed much either. We'll continue to offer 2 flexible PD days. Some teachers will have to go come need and do a lot of vertical alignment during that time. We'll also do a rigor for 6 hours. And the rest is looking at teaching holistically, where we do go through the growth plans, evaluation systems, SITs, and those types of programs.
For district, I would operate the new evaluation system. I'll be offering a 4-day professional development for the principals and evaluating special ed for the teachers and our chairperson training for our staff. So we have several things going on this summer, being all together for professional development.
Thank you. Next opposed? Motion carries. Discussion and approval of the position of a principal custodian to be located in Happy Valley Learning Center.
Along the same lines, we'll also be a need for full-time custodian, reduced number of days for custodians for an 8-hour position, approximately 200 days. This will be a full-time position to take care of the needs of the children.
Have a motion. Have a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Discussion of approval to enter into an agreement with ASOM, the substitute placement and absence management product. It's all written.
About ASOP and what ASOP is in terms of placing substitute teachers in our building and tracking certified absences and the cost that we would incur
This is from the back us up what's
All right.
the process here.
what interface that works with a computer or your smartphone. And an absence, it connects the schools to the subs directly instead of using a human being to make those phone calls. So if I knew I was going to be out for a doctor's appointment next week, I would enter my number into an app that I would have on my phone, or if I didn't use my phone, I would log into the computer and I would create my absence, hit the date. Every substitute in our database would have an assigned number, and if I had a preference for who I wanted to sub, I could first see if that person was available, and I'd create the absence. The substitute database then would, the preferred sub would get a notification, either accept or decline. If they decline, the program will automatically start calling our sub database. I know that's kind of hard to conceive.
So how does it happen now?
Currently, we have a secretary at South Green Elementary who does make those phone calls to secure substitutes in our district. She, starting at 4 o'clock in the morning, she takes phone calls at night and in the early morning and just direct dials substitutes on our list. And that's how we have been doing that in the past. And we have been, I think we pay a stipend, or I'm not exactly sure, but she's compensated for her time to do that.
2 years.
I know the first year is the most expensive year because they give us startup and they give us professional development. A component that, just to make you all, help you all understand, and it's been particularly troublesome for us this year. We share a lot of substitutes with Metcalf, Caverna, and Barron. Substitute teachers are very valuable to us, but it's a part-time job. And in order to get work, a substitute will work those 3 counties, in Hart, Metcalf, Barron, Warren, Bowling Green, all use ASOP. So they book their employment, and we are always going to be the last call. I mean, they're always going to be able to interface immediately. Does that make sense?
Can I make a comment on that?
Okay.
I
But
You have to come up, you have to put people in there.
we have that anyway. No.
No. But the thing about it is, as a principal, if you're expecting somebody to be there and you don't have someone there, you have a classroom with no teacher.
We currently have had that happen.
When I was at Hart,
Principals,
Talking about the last minute teacher request for currently what we've experienced this year.
what happens?
Is it a weekly event? Is it a daily event?
Oh, it's a daily event.
Where you all of a sudden have somebody do it?
Well, I would say that was a daily event. Mr. Mollenkamp and the other two principals can probably. There are sometimes daily, I'm short a sub, either in a classified or a certified position. And I have to start moving people around and pulling, I can a little bit so I can use that person here. That's almost.
having several days in a row during the Voice of 16 tournament because we have lots of absences in the area. So again, we're competing with the other counties to secure those positions. And so, I can share with you one. We brought on over 20 substitute teachers this school year, and most of them are younger, and they prefer the interface with the phone to their work. It gives them, if you have children at home, you're arranging childcare, you cannot drop everything and come sub because a teacher, got sick that morning or their child. So this helps exercise some control on behalf of the employee, and it also allows the teacher to, generate their absence and select that preference. So ASOP is a company that it has acquired several smaller absence tracking companies. They just acquired Subfinder, so it is the biggest show in town. The only other district in the greater area that's currently calling people is Caverna. And I don't think that it's going to fix every problem. I certainly don't. But I can tell you what it would do is help me understand when I get a sub who calls me, whose last name is W, and she doesn't know, gets the W and doesn't know why she never gets a phone call. That I can say, well, so I can see that ASOP's contacted you 7 times and you declined 5. Because all that data is there for us. So we can see how much the subs are working. We can see who's getting called. We can see who's declining. And that's where we are. And the cost, we priced 165 employees, and the cost, not counting the first year, which startup and professional development and getting that training, you do encumber, as you can see, that first year startup fee. It will be $800 less than what we are paying annually to have this program.
Dr. Kaiser, can I make one more comment about it? Right now, when I have a teacher that's going to be out at 2 appointment, my secretary has to stop what she's doing and try to locate that sub. Ms. Rennell from South Green deals with those subs that happen at night and then early in the morning. She calls those. But this would free up my secretary. And you might think, well, that's just one time she has, but it's a lot. And it would free her up to let her take care of the 650 kids, the 1,200 parents, the 100 employees that are in the building.
go in, I had no idea I didn't have sub.
We currently have that. I mean, every principal under the current models. I mean,
Well, I'm
just like you
saying
said,
that,
it falls on the school.
so the system will report that to the school?
Well, you're gonna, yeah, I haven't had training on it. I mean, I don't
See,
know.
it defaulted to somebody in the central office when I was in Clark County.
I
Who be reached, who hadn't been reached.
It tracks all of that, and I don't know
So
if you had a
principals would
smartphone
have
when you,
the ability to do that?
principals can see not only who's absent in their building, but who's been called on their phone. So since you were a principal, I mean, I think ASOP has tailored as a current ASOP, like making preferences and coding in the sub you want key. Because I think one of the strengths of the current model we have is that we really do try to place the sub with the, you know what I mean? This allows the teacher to make preferences when they generate their absence. So when they make that doctor's appointment, you immediately go to your phone and book it, and it shoots it out, confirmed the absence, and so you know it's handled. And the principal gets a copy of it, so the principal knows. So that's all I got. That's a brief summary I have in a webinar with Debbie and with Ms. Pruitt and I felt like when I realized, you know, that it's kind of time to, you know, on down the road. I don't see districts abandoning ASOP, and I see districts continuing to invest more and more. You know, annually we see now. I remember when Warren County went to it. Bowling Green followed suit, and you know, we just can't compete dialing a phone with instant notification. Does that make sense? Because I mean, we all kind of grew up in a time period where we made phone calls. You know, when we met today, we called people. Well, this generation coming up transacts through texts or through application.
So it's 4250. 4250 is one-time gift?
Yes.
And then after that, annual is...
Annually, it's going to be $4,702. If you will look at the per unit cost, I priced it real. I gave them a high number, which was 200.
That's what I was basing it.
Right.
11,000 has a higher number.
Right. So we actually will only put 165 certified employees. Actually, it's certified plus regulatory positions. We would have to put kindergarten assistants on ASOP because they're regulatory. Outside of that, we would not place more classified staff, custodians. They would not be on the system. And they currently are called, like, those are handled in another way.
You've got a setup cost. You've got a
Yes.
subscription cost.
Yes, sir.
So what would that be like for the first year?
It will be 4,000.
Way less than 7,000.
Right, because that is per unit cost was for 200 certified employees, and we will only be getting 165.
When we started talking about this, I thought we were then going to be assured that that guarantee. But if you want to, obviously, that's
That doesn't happen very often, it's usually, like I said, I anticipate going in once the, hey, all right, I have to set up for that person. But my first conversation when I walk through the door, because she's in my building. So I walk in and ask her, all right, do we have a sub for all, and I go through my list of who's notified me that morning. Do we have a sub for these people?
One thing too that Mr. Mullican alludes to is that oftentimes as a principal, at 9 o'clock, a teacher's vomiting and has to go home. Well, Mr. Mullican available. I mean, he can see that there's no need to call Patty Lowry because she's working somewhere else. And a lot of times what happens is we are calling that same 5 times. And this would prevent that overlap. This would save time. And, that's one of the benefits. I'm sure that what they are, what LaDonna mentions, happens now. So it could make it better. I don't know. We're currently dealing with that anyway. So, but that's where I wanted to throw this up, guys, at you for your consideration. And I'm flexible with either. Same with the current model. I do think that this would have some benefit, and it would ultimately be a savings to the district.
Further discussion?
Is that the only provider of such a system?
There was another provider called Subfinder, and it was acquired by ASOP in January. They took over Subfinder.
So Chad, you're saying there's 5 or 10 times in a year's time where you don't have a sub.
This school year, yes, about we're going in from the start of one, and then there's been other times where.
And that's not the issue for ASOP. I'm not telling you that that's going to make that any better. I mean, that's not why I'm coming up in front of you with this. It's that it's a laborious task. Someone is having to make those calls. The secretaries in the schools, Brunel, when we could have this done without that kind of effort being made during the school day, like Ms. Mudd alluded to. And we would know who's been called. We don't know who's been called. We're calling people 5 and 6 times. People don't like taking phone calls. I bet if I called all of you tonight, you'd let it go voicemail.
The truth of the matter is we're losing subs.
The last 2 subs I brought on, I had Ms. Harlon come in and I let the sub talk to her. And she said, I have an app, I have Metcalfe County on here, and I have Barron on here. You told me you're going to call me. She's not working day for us yet. She's a go-getter. I'd love to have her work. And she books her work. Just like we book a bar class, she books her work. And that's just where the generation is that's coming up.
Have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to drive.
Now, I'm not saying it's going to improve the situation that LaDonna's brought up. That has nothing to do. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to.
I certainly understand, but I don't think it's unwise to do it relatively rest of the time. I don't know what's the purpose.
Could I make a comment towards that call? In my wanderings since my retirement, I've been in school systems where that, and I've been in school where they had way too many subs. There are some bugs in there. I had 2 in one school, 2
thinking I was gonna have subs,
Right,
and then I didn't have anybody there.
That's not ASOP's fault or to ASOP's credit.
But
I think it's just like we deal with every day with electronic medical records. None of them are without bugs.
Right.
I mean,
It's gonna have bugs.
it's a computer, it's gonna have a bug.
I don't see the harm though. Appreciate it. There have to be issues that we're not aware of. As you mentioned that, I would have no clue. As a 911 man, I would have no clue. There might be those that are, but I don't know that there's any urgency to do this tonight. Really. It might be worthwhile to gather a little more information with this and sort of out if there are options. I understand the others will do it, but I don't know, just because other people do it, I don't know that necessarily means we should. I understand the limit. I'm still not sure I understand the exact cost. The cost,
Per unit.
doing it exactly the way we're doing
It's
it.
800 more than $4,700. It's $5,500. That's what you pay now.
I understand the drawbacks from the request. Schedule quality people, so they can do the best job, but I would it's conceivable that you have a preferred list of people that you're really confident as a principal that they do your job and you have it out of your mind. And I would think, we just don't know who might show up, but I would think anybody that's their name on that list would be engaged to show up in here.
But those are people that we would,
We would have hired, they would have vetted them.
right, they wouldn't be on our list if we didn't, hadn't already approved.
I just think we probably would have a preference.
You can customize that with an ASOP. So you would have some people who would only sub to South Green, some people who would only sub to the middle school. Every sub has a key by their name that you would enter that code.
We have a motion on the floor to try this for 2 years. We have a second to that one. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we will move to approve the shortened. Next, we will move